This is LBC with Sheila Fogarty. Call 0345 6060 973. Tweet at LBC. Text 84850.
Do you welcome Barack Obama's intervention on the EU referendum? I'm going to hold my hand up and say I very much do. I am curious. I was curious to know precisely what he thought. I mean, I could guess ballpark what he thought, but it was an interesting read, and I'll consider what he said. Those who are keen on leaving the EU, the Brexit campaigners, are not impressed. They say he has overreached his status, overreached the rights he has to comment on the activities of another nation. He says whatever we decide in that referendum will have an impact on generations of Americans to come. If you are an American listening, do give me a call on this. Do you think Obama was right to intervene, or do you think he's just poking his nose in where it's not wanted? Is he acting as a friend or not? 0345 6060 973 is the number. You can text 84850 or tweet at LBC. I'll return to your calls on that in just a few moments. But first to Alton Towers and that dreadful Smiler accident that happened a while ago. The owner of Alton Towers is facing a multi-million-pound fine, which is perhaps not surprising. It admitted breaking health and safety laws over the roller coaster crash. 5 of the people who were enjoying the roller coaster at the time were seriously injured in that. 2 women involved had their legs amputated after that collision in June of last year. 3 others suffered what are being described as life-changing injuries. Let's talk about what's likely to come here with Quentin Hunt, health and safety lawyer at 2 Bedford Road Chambers. Hi, Quentin.
Good afternoon.
Is this going so far as you expected, that it was pretty clear there was a catastrophic breach of safety?
Yes. I don't think that the guilty plea of the company has come as anything of a surprise to anyone involved in this area of law. Given the accident, there was clearly a risk to members of the public, and once the risk has been established, it's very difficult to avoid criminal liability.
What happens next? How do you see this unfolding now?
Well, the company will be preparing mitigation, and the matter will be back before the court for a sentencing exercise where the Health and Safety Executive will outline all of the aggravating features and the circumstances of the accident, and the judge will come to an appropriate figure by way of a financial penalty.
A financial penalty, and will that be entirely separate to compensation claims by the individuals themselves?
Yes, it should be. Often in health and safety cases, the criminal courts don't actually decide on matters of compensation because they're litigated in the civil courts. But in certain cases, then compensation will be fixed by the criminal courts.
I wonder, when it reopened quite recently, there was some, including some of the victims of the crash, who said that they felt it was too soon or that it shouldn't reopen at all. I wonder, will this have an impact longer term on that industry, on theme parks, some of the more risky rides at theme parks?
Well, theme parks and fairground rides in general have always been an area of concern for the Health and Safety Executive. I prosecute a lot for them, and in fact, a lot of the more serious accidents that take place are in respect of those sorts of rides. It's an area where there's plenty of guidance in operation, but I think the Health and Safety Executive would regard the case as being an important message being sent out to operators of these sorts of rides that they have to comply with the legislation. Not
to relax. When you say you prosecute a lot for Health and Safety Executive in these kinds of cases, obviously this is an extremely serious example of it, how often do things go wrong at fairgrounds? I mean, I just pretty much stayed away from them as a kid, or certainly stayed away from the more risky rides. It's just inviting trouble is how I see it. But how often does it go wrong?
Well, I think the trouble is that when things do go wrong, they tend to go wrong catastrophically. Because of the nature of fairground rides, they are very dangerous. And what would otherwise be a relatively small accident, when you're talking about rides that are moving at a considerable velocity with people exposed in them, then the consequences are always going to be very serious. Cases like Merlin Group, they generally have a good health and safety record. It's more the mobile attractions and fairs that tend to attract the majority of prosecutions.
Well, thank you, Quentin Hunt. Quentin Hunt is a health and safety lawyer at 2 Bedford Road Chambers. Interesting to hear him say he prosecutes a lot for the Health and Safety Executive on this. After 3, the solicitor who represents some of the victims of that crash will speak to me here on LBC.